Welcome to beautiful Old San Juan in Puerto Rico. This is my first time coming here, and it has exceeded all of my expectations. And we're here with Jose, President-elect of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
You brought two of our guests here, even Brock, you're friends with. So basically all of the interviews that we've done so far, you have a lot to do with that. So thank you for bringing your friends into this little gazebo with this amazing ocean view. It's really wonderful how kind this community is, because I just wanted to learn things about Puerto Rico. I'm like, well, why not share it with everybody else? My friends probably want to learn as well. And I do. I have friends that are investors of all types that would be interested in investing in this community. I have friends that are startup people that might want to move their company here. The next startup that they do come here, there's a lot of incentives for that. And so can you please, and we're going to kind of talk together, right?
Sure.
Talk together. You guys get to watch. Congratulations. But can you tell us a bit about yourself, your family, what you do?
Yeah. I have many different hats.
Yes.
Basically, I've had many different careers in the last 25 years. I've started out more on the IT technical side, fintech, and basically on the analytics side in New York, working with various of the investment banks.
Okay.
And after 2003, I started to travel a lot through Asia. And pretty much all my life, I've also been involved with the Chamber of Commerce, which is something that we're going to talk about later. But generally, my approach is an international approach. So in Puerto Rico, part of what I'm trying to do is trying to bring resources from overseas to come here and sort of create opportunities for the local different sectors here.
Yes. Now, Pamela's from Manhattan. So when you say international, you said Asia a lot.
Yes.
How about like over on the East Coast or where I'm from in Silicon Valley?
Well, I lived in Boston for 9 years. I studied in Boston. I started out in MIT.
Is that where you went to university?
Yeah.
Or for graduate school or
No,
undergrad
for
also?
undergrad.
Okay,
For undergrad, I was in MIT for a few years there. I was more on the physics engineering side. It got
just physics and
it got
and
pretty
engineering
boring.
and IT. No big deal.
So I did an internship though in Smith Barney, Solomon Smith Barney, and I changed completely over to the finance side. And since then, I finished my degree in BC, Boston College, and I was able to take some of the graduate courses there from the MSF program, Master in Science program. And after that, I lived in Boston for a few extra years. I was doing some contract work for developing software for investment advisory applications, for reporting, analysis and performance reporting for institutional accounts. I was already in college and I was already doing analytical work for more than like $2 billion of accounts. Wow. Where I'm telling my boss, hey, is this right? Like I'm doing these numbers, you know, like any error, you know, it's like a few $1 billion, we're gonna be off. So basically I got hooked on basically finance at that point. And I later on, I worked in Merrill Lynch in New York in structured finance, analytics department. And I was basically working on emerging assets. These are assets that are not collateral based. They don't have loans underlying. These are just streams of cash coming, and we have to be very creative to create the structures. This could be like a utility fee securitization, or tobacco fees, mutual fund fee securitization, royalties. Any type of cash flow that's coming in, where we have to do an economic model and then the structuring model. And I worked with ratings agencies, doing a lot of things on the technical side. Now, after 2001, September 11, I was there working in Ground Zero, basically because I worked in World Financial Center.
Were you working in the towers when that
Well,
happened?
I worked in World Financial Center, which is right next to World Trade Center.
Were you there working that day?
Yes, I was on my way to work.
You were on your way to work?
Yes, I basically I was 20 minutes late to work that day, so I got to survive. Because at the time one of the planes hit, I was supposed to be. No, but a couple of my friends did. Wow. But I was very fortunate to avoid that huge disaster. You know, it's a pretty big calamity.
Did you stay there in Manhattan after that?
Yeah, I stayed for a few years.
You did.
We had to relocate pretty much all of Merrill Lynch. We had to relocate to Jersey City for about 6 months because there was actually half of the World Trade Center building fell on top of ours. Basically, when that thing collapsed, it fell on our building. So that whole area was closed out for like 6 months. It was pretty bad. Wow. And the place was actually on fire for a few months after. There was still like fire. Burning, It was still glowing. Right. And but that, we got through that. And in 2003, I basically started to look for some opportunities in Asia and I started to travel a lot around there through China and Hong Kong and Japan. And in Puerto Rico, we export coffee, right? We produce coffee. So Japan is one of the largest markets to import specialty coffee. So I worked on that for a few years in Japan. And there was an earthquake in Japan, right? So that's another huge disaster, right?
Amazing.
And I was operating an office in Japan.
In Hawaii during that.
Okay. Well,
that
I was...
that was a little sketchy.
So I was there that day. Again, this major disasters tend to follow me, but I'm sort of a survivor. 9.0 earthquake, tsunamis, nuclear reactors blowing up,
Crazy.
Chernobyl style.
Crazy.
But to make coffee, to brew coffee, is like 98% water, and there's radiation in the water, so I had to get the heck out of there, close the office, move to Hong Kong and China, and I started to do a lot of promotional events in China with the U.S. government. They have certain programs to promote the export of agricultural products through all around the world. And I started doing a lot of events with them there, and it went pretty well in China since 2011. But I have always remained connected to Puerto Rico, and on or around like 2015, me and my wife, we relocated to Puerto Rico again after I was out since I was 18. I got back
You were born here.
I was born here. I was here till 18.
Were you born in Old San Juan?
No, I was born near Condado area. I was born in San Juan.
Okay.
And just about 4 years ago, we came back, and I immediately got reconnected with the Chamber of Commerce because I've been pretty much grew up in that environment. My late father was a past president of the Chamber of Commerce.
Wow, that's a cool heritage for you.
Yeah, he was also past president of Banco Popular, which is the largest bank here. Yeah. So it's pretty good. Pretty good ecosystem that I have been
special roots for you.
Involved in here. So
and you have one child, 4-year-old daughter?
Yes, 4-year-old daughter. She's my wife is Chinese, so she's born here, so she's Puerto Rican.
Yes.
But she's learning 4 languages at the same time. It's it's pretty crazy.
I have a hard time with one.
Yes.
I'm good with math and terrible with languages.
We're gonna get you talking Spanish in no time.
I went to Spanish 1 3 times in high school.
Yeah.
I went to Spanish 2 in high school. I went to Spanish 1 in college. I moved to Spain for a month.
Wow.
I know si se puede. You
yes.
can do it.
and roll your R's. Can you roll them? That's it. That's very important. So basically,
that's my R rolling. It's a growl.
Yep. So the reason I'm here is to bring some resources here. I'm very grateful for the Life of R, Rich Holman, and this group, Eric Berman, for what they're doing in Old San Juan. I think it's, especially with my role in the chamber, to promote economic development initiatives here in Puerto Rico. I congratulate them for their work. It's a whole 3-day event. A lot of resources that they brought from the States to come here to attend this event. And it was a pretty strong networking event where we're talking with people that have different needs. Yeah. And Life of R, I think I'm very happy to collaborate with them. That's great. And in the chamber, I'm opening our doors to them to have them get integrated. Within the chamber, it's a 110-year-old organization. That's amazing. It's basically the main representative of the private sector here in Puerto Rico. It's multi-sector organization. We have more than 600 members, and we have 35 affiliated organizations or affiliated associations, such as the engineers, the CPAs, the surgeons, the builders, the home builders, the pharmacies, the insurance companies, basically everybody, all the different sectors, they're in the chamber. So it's huge. It's a lot of different responsibilities. We also have over 35 different committees that respond to different needs of each sector, such as the health sector, education.
How many people would be on one committee?
Anywhere from like 5 to like 80.
So 5 to 80 people on 35 different committees.
Yes.
You'll be on more than one committee.
I'm on all of them.
Okay.
You mean me?
Yes.
I lead all of them because I'm going to preside this thing. This is like I just call it like a circus.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it is a circus.
Have you seen The Greatest Showman?
Yes.
I cried the entire time I watched that movie.
Yep.
I was emotionally overwhelmed.
It's hard
because I'm like, that's me, man. Just telling people, let's chase the dream. Let's chase the dream. Yeah, it doesn't always work out well. Sometimes I get myself in bad situations too.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy because to put all these people under the same tent, there's different interests, different industries. Sometimes within the same industry, there's different forces that are struggling against each other. and we sort of have to find a way for all of these different groups to coexist, and undertake these economic development and socioeconomic development activities for the benefit of Puerto Rico. But mostly my area of expertise focuses on international trade, so export, import. As I mentioned to you, I work with coffee and exporting food products a lot, but I also manufacture the coffee. So I export the raw coffee, and I basically find a way for the product to get into China, which is really hard. I mean, that's like, we call it gray channel, which is like basically like Pablo Escobar type things that you got to do to get the product into China, because it's not easy. China's
So coffee, help me for a second. You're growing, wholesaling, retailing, all of it?
I purchase from the farms.
You purchase from the farms.
I purchase from the farm the dry raw coffee product, which is the raw bean.
Okay.
In bulk, in 100-pound bags. We pack it we assemble it into pallets, and I export it by air to Hong Kong. Initially, I initially was doing that to Japan, but now we're doing it through Hong Kong.
And is that coffee used in like high production, commercial, or is it ever being used for like boutique? High-end?
Definitely boutique. This is not commercial coffee. This is like
this is like the Starbucks Reserve,
$7 to $15 a cup.
$7 to $15 a cup.
Yeah, if I wanted to sell that coffee here in Puerto Rico, it wouldn't work out because
it's too expensive for this community.
The quality and the
Why is the quality
effort
so good? Why is the quality so good?
Because there's a lot of work that goes into preparing the coffee. Coffee has over 30 different steps that you need to get to the final step. And there's a lot of ways to cut corners, to cut costs. But I'm working very closely with some of the farmers to make sure that they accomplish everything. And then I've been working with some of them. So that's one of the areas that I've been working on. And at the same time, I'm also involved in consulting for international trade. So people that want to do sourcing, or even harder, which is exporting into foreign markets. And that's part of my expertise within the chamber, is also to work on this area. And also on the fintech, I'm also have stayed pretty active. I do have some clients here in Puerto Rico on the structuring side or on the asset management side. I have been pretty busy with that. And with the chamber, as I mentioned, it's like a lot of things we need to handle. But I do, I'm very happy that you're here visiting us. And,
I've never felt more welcome.
And it's
Don't
great.
you feel that way?
Absolutely.
It's great.
What are some of the biggest needs amongst all the different groups, kind of like common needs?
Well, we have a need for access to the economy overseas. Even though we have a pretty good ecosystem that's been created here in Puerto Rico, we need to export more. We need more foreign investment. We need more tourism. That's the key. And then that will drive the economy. That will drive education. That will drive health. That will drive security. Even though Puerto Rico is one of the most developed economies in Latin America, we've had a pretty rough last 10 or 15 years, and especially with Maria. But we're already pretty much at the same spot we were before Maria hit. And we're about to get like 40 or 80 billion dollars of public and private money coming invested through the economy, flowing through the economy. We've just had about the first 2 billion only come through, and just beginning to be felt in terms of the results. We also have the DMO, which is the Destination Marketing Organization. They've been already running since last year, and they have a pretty strong campaign. They have been very active in the markets, and usually here in Puerto Rico, the high tourism season was finishing on around like February, March, but we're still April, almost in May, and you can still feel a lot of the hotels, a lot of the restaurants. There's still a lot of activity, and we do hope that in the past, many years ago, the DMO, they worked to promote big conventions in the summer. These are like anywhere from 2,000 to like 5,000-6,000 large people groups to come to Puerto Rico. We have a convention center.
How many people can your convention center hold? Like, if I want to do an event, let's say I want to do the biggest possible event with the most number of people for one day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Is the convention center the biggest, and how many people can it hold?
I'm not sure exactly how many people it could hold, but we have had very large events here. We had the ICANN conference here. The ICANN is the domains conference. That's like the World Conference. That was here about 2 years ago.
Oh,
that was like right after Maria, and we still had that
yeah,
conference.
Yeah, that's right. It was in Florida last year.
Yeah, there was like 6,000 to 9,000 people on that event, but that's 6,000 of the attendees, the people that are actually in the working sessions, and that was a huge boom for us. They may have a regional conference here next year, so that's like a 2,000 people conference. But we can hold events that are as large as that.
Okay.
And
how about if I want to do an event with like 75 or maybe 250 people, and I want it to be the most nice, high-end, exclusive event. I want an ocean view behind me. Like, I really want it to be just really high class. I want backup generators so it's possible to lose power.
Sure.
I want high-speed internet so I can live stream the
Sure.
event. Like, where would I do something like that at?
Hundreds of locations, literally.
Hundreds of locations.
And the DMO, their criteria for room nights is like 20, anything over like 20 or 30 room nights, and they can give you their full support. So that's like, you guys are way over that.
Okay.
And what they do is they work with you to create sort of like an RFP
Okay.
for all your needs. You have the rooming need for the hotel,
Yes.
the lodging, you have for the food,
Yes.
for the catering. Let's say if you want to do catering or you want to go out to the restaurants, for the excursions, you know, like Jimmy Fallon, he was here during Christmas time. That was a big part of the boost that we received in the next few weeks after that. Yeah, Jimmy Fallon, and then with Hamilton. Also, we got a lot of good promotion out of that, and that was actually had a very, very strong impact on the coming weeks after that. And because people, they see Jimmy Fallon in Old San Juan running around doing all these crazy antics, or on a zip line, 2,000 feet long zip line. With like a GoPro, you know, these kind of things, you know, this
I want to
really,
do
you still have time. I mean, you could head up there, and it's, I haven't done it myself yet.
I have hundreds of trips planned here in the next several decades, so I'll have time for zip lining.
So basically, when you bring your big group here, do plan an extra 2 or 3 days for excursions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people will just bolt from your conference or from your event. You really want to be able to make sure, manage your expectations so that they know that they're going to have the 3-day trip and then the 3-day fun at the end. Because if you put the fun in the beginning, some of them may not show up at your event. You need to make sure that you get your event done, and then you give them a 2-3 day stretch at the end. And then, but the DMO can help you, and also and within the chamber, we also have the resources with all the local hotels to make sure that any event that would come here would be a success. And I'm actually coordinating several big events for the coming year within the chamber.
Yes.
There's one event related to cruise ships. There's a big cruise ship conference here in October. There's another event that we're coordinating that's in the biggest shopping mall here. We may have a 1-week long exhibition. And there's also an event in the spring, a pretty big event as well as a tourism related event.
Do you have all those listed somewhere?
Well, we're coming up with a list right now. We're a little bit early in terms of the schedule because I don't really start my presidency until July 1. So we're working out the calendar and all the dates.
Are you going to the Bay Area anytime soon?
I would really love to go there. I have an event with the Hong Kong Trade Development Council. I'm basically their only agent here in Puerto Rico. That's Hong Kong government.
Because you volunteer as the president.
Yes, that's a pro bono position. Yes, that's a volunteer position. It's
so you lead 35
it's
councils.
Yes,
out of the goodness of your heart.
Yes,
and of course there's benefits, no doubt about it. But that's a very, very noble thing for you to do.
It is, and you can tell that to my wife. Basically, it's.
Do you have a hat that says I'm a noble man?
I should get that. At least they should give that to me when I'm done. You know, it's like that and like a beer or something. I don't know.
Maybe a hat that says Raiders wish they were noble like me. I don't know.
Yeah. Now in September I do have an event. It's
I love
called
the Raiders. Hey, don't hate. Okay, I like the East Bay. I'm down with you, Oakland, but you just lost to Las Vegas. I know. I said it on purpose. Keep going.
Well, we have an event. It's called with HKTDC. That's called Think Asia, Think Hong Kong. It's going to be in September. It's going to be in LA though, but I may be up there around that area, and there may be a very huge medical cannabis related conference in California.
Now tell me about
around that time
and legal, illegal drugs in Puerto Rico.
Sure.
I see cannabis shops. So I
yes.
imagine there's medical, but there's also recreational.
No, only medical right now. Yes, but it's a booming industry here. There have been some challenges. In the chamber, we have created a medical cannabis committee to sort of deal with some of the business issues that the industry faces. And these are sort of B2B issues, because on the consumer side, that's more for the patients. And we don't really work with the patients. We mostly work with the different components of the industry. You have the manufacturers, you have the dispensaries, you have the physicians, and there's different interests that are created. You have certain insurance companies that still don't provide the coverage. That's all very important for all these people to work together. And there's also the patients, which is the most important. So there's a very strict licensing program.
Yes.
And we just have to make sure that all of them can work together. The banking system is a very big component, which because of federal laws, they're not any U.S. bank that's operating in Puerto Rico due to the federal laws. They're not allowed to take any deposits with anything related to cannabis.
Okay, just for that.
So it's very hard. But local banks can. Banks that are not under the FDIC, that are local banks, they are able to. But these are very rare, very instruments. I think there's only one. It's structured like a cooperative. And we're working to ease some of these restrictions in the banking industry because all these dispensaries, they're all operating on cash basis.
Right.
So they basically have, don't tell anybody, but they have like a safe deposit box under the dispensary. It's like Pulp Fiction style. You just have to.
I mean, it's the same way in Santa Cruz where I'm from.
Yeah.
It's the same way all throughout California.
And it's all cash. So if these guys catch fire, they get toast. Or if they get held up. So we really
have much of an option. I mean, one of the things why cryptocurrency is so attractive to that industry is it allows them to be more legitimate than any other option with just traditional fiat currency.
Yep.
Because they can keep track of their money, make sure they're paying their taxes, make sure that they're doing things legally in place, and not have their exposure and the risk of having something that could burn, be stolen, or all those different elements.
We have one of our members in the chamber that is developing a token-based POS solution.
Right.
So it's using tokens, which is a sort of type of cryptocurrency that can be used for payment.
Yes.
And then you have your POS in the dispensaries, and then your patients are the source of the patients purchase the tokens, and then the tokens are basically, that's like a form of currency. And because you know where the money's coming from, you fulfill all of these KYC, means know your customer, or the AML, which is anti-money laundering type situations that banks normally face. And it's a way to work this industry on a cashless basis. And these are sort of some solutions that we're going to be implementing. We also are planning 2,000 plus people conference, cannabis conference around late March. And we are, March 2020. We are collaborating with the organizers of the 3 largest conferences in the U.S. I think there's one in Boston, there's one in New York, and there's one in California. There's like 3 really big ones. And Teresita Santiago, which is going to be the president of the committee next year, she's been attending these events, and we're sort of going to be collaborating with them to move this event here in March or in early April. We can't do it exactly at 420 because that is really hard to get people's attention on that time, hard. Yeah. We're going to do it a little before, but I do understand the importance of that date. But we're going to provide you with some information later. And
420 all started in Santa Cruz, where I live.
Really?
With a few students on the UCSC campus.
Okay.
Too long of a story for me to tell, but just there's Wikipedia. If you want to know anything about anything, this place, Google. Go to Google and you say, how did 420 get started at UCS with UCSC students? Boom, it's there.
Wow.
Yeah, fun. That's where I'm from.
That's great. Yeah. So we're working on all of these different interesting things. And as I mentioned to you, the biggest roadblock to medical cannabis in Puerto Rico is on the financial side, on the banking side. And we're a little concerned that certain sectors may heat up. Like you may have a very large number of dispensaries, but there's not enough patients licensed. And also on the manufacturing side, you want to make sure that the ecosystem grows in a balanced way. Yeah. Because if you have too many dispensaries, then they may go out of business because not enough clients. And if you have too many patients, it may overload the system. And because of there's no interstate commerce allowed because cannabis is not legal on a nationwide basis. We need to the whole industry needs to be fully self-supported. But we are very bullish, and we are going to be lobbying in Washington, D.C. to legalize medical cannabis and eventually recreational all around. So that if that does happen, then we could export to other countries even. Where like Canada or some countries in Latin America where there's recreational cannabis that's legal, and that would really open up the doors. And the other thing also is with hemp. which was legalized totally under the recent Farm Bill.
And that's for obviously clothes, but also could be for CBD.
CBD.
Okay.
CBD is the most important because in Puerto Rico we have already a very strong pharmaceutical industry, but there's been a little bit of a, with the loss of certain tax incentives here in Puerto Rico, we had about 25% of the pharmaceutical production in the whole world was done in Puerto Rico up until like 2004, 2005. 25% of all the drugs in the world were manufactured in Puerto Rico. Wow. About 12 of the top 20 drugs were made here, the active ingredients. Wow. And they still are. A lot of them still are. But with CBD, it's a very big potential because we have this.
Just to clarify, Puerto Rico, half of your economy is manufacturing.
About 42%, yes.
Go back to CBD, just
Yes.
clarifying that.
Now, with CBD is an extremely high value added product, because it comes from an agricultural basis, which is just farming, but you can, manufacture it, extract it, refine it, and it could be worth thousands of dollars. I mean, it's just incredible in terms of the added value.
Yeah.
And because we have all of these tax incentives here in Puerto Rico related to manufacturing, related to export, it has an incredible potential for companies that are looking to come down here just today. Just even they would start to do this today. They're able to work with hemp or CBD and are able to basically take advantage of these opportunities. And that's just one product. I mean, we have an entire gamut of products that we could work with here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And on the services side as well, there's certain, like Act 20 is a local law that was passed to foster the export of services. And my private company, which is called Discover Puerto Rico, has received the Act 20 decree. And the Act 20 decree is not only limited for services, it's also limited for export of local product and for trading companies. So I could buy something in the U.S. and sell it in Alaska.
Wow.
And on the value added, I'm only taxed at 4%.
Wow.
And I don't pay any federal taxes. So that's a pretty big incentive.
Yeah, it is. Okay, wow. I'm actually going to switch out with Ben. Ben, why don't you come sit where I'm at? Here's the microphone right here.
Okay.
You, like Landrew and like I am considering lots of friends, have moved here from the Silicon Valley.
Right.
And I thought it'd be nice just to give you a moment to join Pamela and ask Jose a couple questions.
Okay.
So why don't you sit where I'm at and jump into the air.
Hey, Jose, how are you?
Yes, great.
Hey.
We actually met through Alex Kim, who's one of our collaborators here in Puerto Rico. He's got his fingers in many pies. I'm telling you, he's got so many things that he's working on.
Local connector here.
Yes, he's more local than all of us put together.
So we actually here we're changing a little bit dynamics here because now we have two locals versus one outsider.
Yeah, I'm the outsider.
So now it's turning to a Puerto Rican flavor, right?
I know. Yeah, let's do
some
that.
salsa going on already.
Yeah.
La bachata.
Yeah, I know.
So there's a thing I really appreciate about being in Puerto Rico is it's big enough so you really have global impact if you want to start a company here, but it could also be very small so that you're well connected to the top decision makers.
Yes.
In this society.
I would say if you're going through the right channels, such as for example the Chamber of Commerce, it's very easy to get hooked up with the business community here, because even though the economy is pretty big per capita, in terms of the influencers and the decision makers here is not such a big group, and with vehicles such as the Chamber, it's very easy to meet all of these people rather quickly. Like with me, you guys today, Aaron Schoenfeld may be coming later on around 3 p.m. So that's just another person that we've been meeting. So different resources that we're bringing into the mix.
Absolutely. And think about like in terms of Puerto Rico's size, right? I came from San Francisco Bay.
Yeah.
And we all have various technology investments, and think about the ecosystem in Silicon Valley are really global, tremendous.
Yeah.
But you kind of get stuck in the technology investments, the majority of the investments there in San Francisco Bay.
Sure.
Unless you want to get into the hemp or potentially the cannabis business also, which is completely legal in San Francisco and California. But the thing I really appreciate about Puerto Rico is the economy is so integrated so well that because the size is just perfect size, not too big, not too small, that you can actually mingle with other types of entrepreneurs and investors from not just fintech technology, but also in agriculture. You just mentioned hemp business, you just mentioned export and import business. That to me is really real tangible business that any kind of thriving global economic ecosystem should have.
Yes.
And that's what I really enjoy here in Puerto Rico.
Definitely. And if you compare Puerto Rico with other destinations in Latin America, I would say in terms of the quality of life and safety, security, we have some rowdy spots. I don't recommend walking around at night. I live in New York too, in Manhattan. There's some rowdy neighborhoods around there as well.
Yeah.
But here, I mean, it's just the feeling that you can walk around the street 2, 3 a.m. And you can just go for a walk, or you can Uber or whatever. I mean, there's relatively safe, and you can just go out in a cafe. You don't have. It's like other countries where I've been to, where you always need to watch your back. But here it's like, it's pretty relaxed. And
I've been to a few places in the Caribbean. Belize is totally very underdeveloped, primitive. Puerto Rico has this strange mix between, pleasure in the Caribbean. You've been here for a few days, you see that. But also people are serious about investments, going to conference.
Very much, right.
So it's an interesting mix.
We do get a lot of people that are Act 22s, and these are the sort of the affluent people that are relocating here that already have been very successful before they get here. And initially, before they move here, they're sort of like pre-retirement.
Right.
But then when they come here, there's a lot of different light bulbs light up in there.
Yeah.
And then they start to develop other projects, and it's good because it allows them to diversify.
Right.
Some of them, they have been working in the same industry and they're invested in one single industry.
Right.
But coming to Puerto Rico, there's different vehicles, such as what Braulio was talking to you about earlier, the different funds that are available.
Correct.
That there's certain tax benefits by investing in these vehicles. But it provides a way for these very wealthy people to come here and diversify their portfolios.
And also the thing I like about that is, we talked about your background before.
Yes.
You spent 10 plus years in the traditional financial sector, which should really, you guys have that in common. We should really put some spotlight on Pamela here. But if you think about ways for Puerto Rico to really become a global center of commerce and financial tech, I feel like this also can be the next experimentation of building a social impact type of investment to be kind of a signature investments from Puerto Rico.
Sure.
Because if you just want to make money, really, you should be in New York.
Or Hong Kong, China.
Not to save tax.
Crazy.
If you want to save tax, you should be in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
But if you just want to make massive amount of money in finance, you should go to just either Hong Kong, China, New York, where. But if you rebrand Puerto Rico to a way that, hey, you can make money, you can save on tax if you do it the right way, but also you can have massive social impacts.
Yeah.
And I think that can be an angle that really takes Puerto Rico
definitely
to the next level, that distinguish them.
Every single corporate entity that has been coming to Puerto Rico, they also have a pretty healthy CSR, corporate social responsibility portfolio.
Yeah.
So within the chamber, we have various institutional sponsors
that
I not only take their money, I integrate them, and I always ask them your top 3 CSR areas.
Right.
And every time they tell me it's either like STEM, K-12, veterans, healthcare, communities, and then we also find a way to use the chamber as a vehicle to help them to get invested into the communities as well.
So one thing that we really want to remind the audience is the Act 2022 societies, or just the Act 2022 decree holders, are obligated to make annual donation to the non-profit charities in Puerto Rico.
$5,000.
For Act 22, $5,000 a year. For Act 20, I believe it's $10,000.
No requirement for Act 20.
No requirement.
Only for Act 22s.
I'm getting school here.
So it's per family, basically, per family. So, but that's a way, to invest in the communities. Yeah. And there's like more than 700 nonprofits that qualify, and they're in basically every single area, from education to healthcare, through just community support, disaster recovery.
One thing that I would really love to see, Jose, maybe this is something that we can help to really implement somehow, is the way that the Act 2022 society donations are being transparent and being efficient, to really show it to the public and say, hey, everything that has been donated to the nonprofits will get to the right hands.
Sure.
I've been investing, advising a few tech startup companies, like I mentioned, from Silicon Valley and elsewhere around the world. There have been attempts to really transform like charity donation to be on the public blockchain.
Okay.
So that everything will be transparent.
Wow.
And not changeable. and immutable is the word in technology, but not changeable records, and you can be public about whose donation go to where.
Wow.
And as a donor, you yourself also feel much better about knowing that your money actually goes, in most part, to the people who actually need
Sure.
money. Yeah.
And that's a way to sort of keep transparency, because generally tax records and things like that, you know how hard it is to get people's tax records. You know how hard, I don't want to get into that, but on the donation side,
yes.
if there could be sort of a clearinghouse
yes.
where that can be all accounted for, because generally you do get sort of some people, some local people that are sort of like, they want to keep everything like sort of in-house locally,
right.
and sometimes they see these foreign investors or people that want to like take things away from them.
Yes.
But it's not really like that. We really need the foreign component to come here and open up the so basically open up the borders for us, so that we can do trade, investment, tourism, innovation.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, California,
Yeah. Well, for example, what we're doing right now is a podcast, is a video productions, live. But let's say somebody watching this content or creating this video streaming can actually be a part of the charity donations to the nonprofits that we are talking about.
Sure.
So imagine, right? So there's a company called Inchi.com.
Okay.
If you look into it, it will be very innovative.
Wow.
The way that they use media as a platform for charity to really be conducted on the blockchain. Just the way that I just mentioned. So right now, for example, this video is streaming right here. When somebody watch it as just an audience, a fan, watching just like YouTube, binge watching this content, for example. Like we
have a lot of content today created. It's great.
So they could immediately like donate, or
binge
like they could
exactly.
sit down, so take a whole weekend.
So thanks to the technology we have, right? When they watch certain content, the codecs of the video can actually be used digitally to generate a type of digital asset.
Wow.
Right? And we dig into the dig deep here. So we generate the type of digital assets that can be redeemed towards either a fiat cash once we have a third-party exchange.
Okay.
Or can be redeemed for tickets, concerts, benefits concerts tickets, or T-shirts, or I Love Puerto Rico T-shirts.
Yeah.
But all of that helps incentivize that the viewership of the media would go up. And so when a person make a donation to a certain nonprofit, the funds would go to a smart contract vault.
Okay.
But the money would not be released to the nonprofit until certain viewing metrics of the media are being satisfied. So you leverage the power of media and the power of the blockchain.
And that happens in real time. I mean, you respond instantly to what's going on. It's not like you have some metrics or analytics that you need to go later and analyze and then tweak it. No, you can see the effect in real time.
Right. Our goal is, for example, if let's say there's a crisis going on, thousands of folks will be able to just live streaming in front of them the disaster. Let's say there's a wildfire in California, there's a hurricane coming, and people just like take out the phone, and you immediately will see on the map like a red zone coming up. Like, oh my gosh, there's a crisis going on.
Wow.
So imagine if we build a YouTube.
Is there some AI involved in that in terms of analyzing all that big data traffic that's coming?
There will be AI.
Because there's already like Twitter bots that can give you the sentiment. They can analyze, you
can analyze all of the patterns of where in the world or the crisis are happening.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that we're really proud of is, we talk about a lot of things, but we leverage the innovative technologies of today society in order to connect with the most basic fundamental need of people, which is either water or food in a humanitarian crisis. So exactly the conversation we just talked about, right? Because some of us moved here from San Francisco Bay and we're familiar with the technology, but we haven't spent time in a third world country, not third world country, but a third language country that speak a different way and doing business in a different way than you are. So therefore, we need to learn from the local people.
Sure.
And implement ways to do business differently in the mix. So that's really my goal of living here in Puerto Rico.
And as you know, Puerto Rico is a very multicultural society because we are sort of a merger of Spanish, Taino indigenous, and also African. So, and then in the last 100 years, we have a huge influx of the Americans coming here. So we have these various cultures all together. And then we have a lot of big immigrant groups that are coming in, such as people from the Dominican Republic. There's like 200,000 immigrants, and even in the Chinese community, of which we are part of, because with my wife is Chinese, and that's great. There's like 5,000 people from the Chinese community.
I would love to connect more with them. To be honest with you, so I was born in Vietnam. Born and raised in Vietnam. I came to the U.S. when I was 16, and I spent most of my life in the U.S. Wow. I'm living here full time, obviously. So I wanted to be understanding how to make this island more diverse as well.
Yes.
And hopefully Chamber of Commerce will be
definitely.
Sounds like it.
Then I'm gonna tag out with you.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you for jumping in.
Yeah.
Probably be fun to have you.
Thank you.
In for a moment. What other questions might you have for Jose before we wrap up?
Oh gosh. Tell me more about arts and culture and some of your favorite things to do on that side.
Food basically, food, not, and that's something that we need a lot more here, actually, more the international food. But there's a couple of really nice restaurants here.
Noticed, Brock said he has recruited 3 Michelin star chefs.
Wow, that would be huge.
Big deal.
You know how hard it is, and
big deal.
Yeah, that's definitely a big deal.
How's the cafe scene? Do they have like a lot of co-working cafe kind of? Is that kind of growing? Like
it's growing. It's definitely growing, and actually, some of the cafes, they're very welcome to have people stay there for a long time. It's not like where they're just timing how long you're there. Generally, especially around Old San Juan, there's a lot of these cafes where you can just sit down there and have a chat and drink some coffee or even work for a few hours.
That's very in New York. That's everywhere, right?
Yes.
So I feel like it's gonna be.
But here, you can also sit outside. You can go for a walk. Some people go jogging around here, in the morning. Usually you see a lot of people there's a lot of different routes for biking as well. There's a lot of different sports, and you can basically, instead of running on a treadmill and outside it's like below zero or covered in snow,
you can be outside.
You can do a lot of different sports here in Puerto Rico, and there's a lot of different big health-related events that are here in Puerto Rico, like Ironman, triathlon, or swimming, or, sailing, surfing. A lot, or deep sea fishing. I mean, there's like a lot. You could go out and catch a 700 pound marlin if you're in the right season. It's crazy.
To see that,
have you ever been marlin fishing?
No, but I want to see that.
I went one time, and I didn't get throw up, but I just didn't feel good.
That happens. Well, you're gonna need a bigger boat then. You're gonna need a bigger boat, because the bigger the boat is, the less the rocking.
And all my friends are like, just drink. I'm like, nah. Not feeling like that's a good idea.
Yeah, let's see how things go. Let's get the bigger boat for you.
Take me on the
and
bigger
then
boat.
I know a couple of guys.
I want to see a 700-pound marlin.
Yes, that's like
I would
sort
go
of.
nuts.
That's coming soon. That's like in August, September. That's usually when they have the big billfish season, and they have actually the first billfish. This is a huge fish tournament in the world. Was done here in Puerto Rico. I think it's already over 30 years ago. And it could be very huge. The one time I went out, I just caught a 32-pound hamachi.
That's awesome.
We were eating that for 3 days straight. Okay, it's crazy. 32 pounds of fish. Okay, think about that. Think Thanksgiving turkey. That's like your average 15, 20 pounds. This is a 32-pound piece of muscle that is fresh. You just caught it yourself, and the key is right after you catch it, it's gold color. And you need to take the photo quick, because it quickly changes to blue.
Wow.
Like within seconds.
Really? Okay.
You catch the hamachi, the captain and his crew, they know what's going on. They will bring him out, and if you do catch and release, you can do that, right? But if you want to eat it, if they can slice it for you, they can do everything. Generally, some of the bigger breeds are catch and release, like the tuna, that some of them are protected, and the captains, they also are very aware of that. Right? For preservation, you don't want to kill off any species.
You probably can't eat a 700-pound marlin, anyways.
Let's say, let's see. Let's see. You could have a big barbecue, especially working with you guys. You have the events that you're coming up.
Well, I'm not making any guarantees. I want everybody's expectation here in Puerto Rico of meat to be 0. expect nothing from me, and that way you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Think about March, April during that. If we're able to pull off that that medical cannabis event,
absolutely,
that you'd be definitely welcome.
In California, I have friends in California that do $20 million a year.
Wow!
That they move. They're what you would call in California like major brokers, where they sell to the regional brokers.
Really?
That then sell to all the wholesalers that then bring it to all the clubs.
Wow!
So, and they represent a dozen or more growers. So I have a lot of friends that are like there, and I have a lot of friends in the United States that are involved more on the legal side and more on like the business structure and the investment side. So if you can give me really clear information, then I'm happy to send that out to the folks that
that's great, because this is an emerging industry, so it's basically most of the players are local. There have been some of the players that are coming from overseas, from the mainland, that have the experience, and that's really what we need. We need people with experience, and we also want to learn from the success stories of some of the states, like let's say Colorado, for example, or in California, where they've been doing this for a much longer time. They've already figured out what the solutions are on the financial side, or on the having some of the different sectors be heating up, or some of the sectors maybe have a little bit of pressure, of stress. These are the sort of people that we need to come here and sort of work with us to develop the industry. And then once the cannabis is legalized nationwide, it's going to be wide open, because there's going to be entire states that didn't have any activity going on, where there's consumers there. And the states that are the most developed, the industries, they can export to these states or to even other countries. And this is going to be just blown wide open. I mean, it's just incredible in terms of the demand and the cannabis industry as a solution for the opioid crisis, because it's really at a national level. It's pretty bad
for a lot of different crises.
Yes.
How about ping pong? I mean, I know one person that loves ping pong. I'm great. It's her.
No,
wow.
I'm good enough at ping pong to make it enjoyable when people that are actually good beat me.
Wow.
I'm also kind of ridiculous, and I don't like to lose.
I was training for
you should go to La Concha Hotel. They have a ping pong table right in the lobby.
Really?
There's a very stylish bar.
Oh,
they're one of our members in the chamber. Yeah, La Concha Hotel.
Check that out then.
Yes, La Concha. Remember that. They're right on Ashford Avenue. They have a
pong.
very nice ping pong table there. You can go play there right now. And they have one of the best, nicest bars in Puerto Rico. And it's going to be great. It's a very nice hotel. Bring a swimsuit. They have a nice pool. They have a couple of pools. And it's a great hotel, great food. And we have solutions for everything, I'm telling you. They have the ping pong table right at the bar.
Can you talk about this hotel? They were very kind, right?
Yes, definitely taking you in.
Here, Leonard and I are staying with Ben.
Yeah.
And so I asked them yesterday, like, hey, could we please use this area to capture some videos?
That's great.
And they're so kind to be like, yeah, of course, your guests.
That's great.
Ahead. So can you promote this hotel for a second? Like, I know there's many hotels here, but this is one that we're sitting in. And
yes.
This hotel created a platform for us to create some videos.
Yes, this is La Terraza Hotel. La Terraza basically means the terrace, right?
Well, here we are on the terrace.
This is one of the few terrazas in San Juan. Even though this could be happening a lot more, they're sort of an emerging sector here, which is sort of part of the business model for Life Afar, because they have a pretty big terrace themselves. And that's one of the things I mentioned to Life Afar, to go out, look around, scope around, do some recon, because there is going to be a very big demand for this sort of environment on the restaurant side. And because the restaurant, you could be like in an indoor restaurant, you could be more of that ambiance, but this is sort of where we shine. So if you can mix that with the cuisine, with the menu, and then have the distribution to bring the tourists into Puerto Rico, the visitors, because it's not like if you build it, they will come. You actually need to use certain strategies with, for example, the DMO or some of the hotels that have international distribution. Everybody needs to put in the effort to make sure those planes and those cruise ships are full. And everything's growing. Everything's growing at its pace, but we still need more tourism infrastructure here in Puerto Rico. We need more investment. Locally, it's going to be very tough to come up with that investment. We need some investment from overseas to come and help us develop this infrastructure, because we could definitely be recovering and recover our top spot as one of the top tourism destinations. Right now, I believe we're about 15,000 rooms Some of our other competitors, like in Dominican Republic, there's like 40,000 rooms,
Wow.
but they're all spread out over more cities.
Yeah.
But we do have sort of the potential because Puerto Rico is just the right
Is this the only
size.
port right here for cruise ships?
There's one in Ponce actually, and in Mayagüez. There's
there's
two
three.
other ports. Yes,
And
there's
which
three.
port gets the most action?
This one.
Okay.
This one, there could be 4 or 5 cruise ships at the same time.
That's how big it is.
Huge cruise ships, and there's a couple of ships that are home ported here. So you get on the ship here, and there's about 2 or 3 different chains. But there's all the other chains that they stop here, and the cruise ship is like a city. It's like 5,000-6,000 people in one ship. So when they all come out, it gets crazy on the streets here, and usually there's 4 ships at the same time.
That's insane.
And all these restaurants and bars, they get hammered
Slammed, right.
all day. But we need that. We need that constantly. We need that continuously. And we just want to develop certain more activities and things for these our visitors to do. And we want to have more cruise ships that are home ported here. That way, before people get on the ship, they could spend 2 or 3 days here,
Hanging out.
or after, yes. And they can go on the zip line. They can go horseback riding,
And see all the things they
play
want to see and
golf,
that, yeah.
fishing,
Right.
food, kite surfing. There's a lot of people do kite
Yeah.
surfing. As you know, there's a lot of wind, very strong wind on the
Keep
beach.
going, man. I'm
It's-
telling
they're
you.
anything.
I'm excited. People are
Yeah.
like, oh, you said
Like,
kite
I didn't
surfing.
even know
Coffee
about
farms.
everything.
You can go
I
coffee
wanna
farm
go to the coffee
tours.
farm. Where's
Okay,
that?
I'll hook you up. There's a couple of
I did too.
farms.
Have you heard of Steeped Coffee?
Which one?
Steeped, Steeped,
Oh.
coffee.com.
Okay.
So my friend,
Okay.
Josh Wilbur, founded Steeped.
Wow.
Part of the company. I'm their cheerleader. Steeped.
Great.
And they are called by the media from time to time the Keurig killer.
Yeah.
So Keurig coffee, they've sold enough in 20 years. Did you know that you can wrap around the world with the Keurig things?
Yeah.
100 times?
Wow.
100 times.
And they're
It's
still
just
probably
really- it's
there
so
laying on
bad.
the ground.
Very,
You know,
very
it's
concerning.
Yeah.
So Steeped
Yeah.
is coffee basically in a tea bag.
Okay.
Except all of our packaging, including the outside package, is all compostable. So
Okay.
it's a completely green
Great.
company. Only boutique coffee. So
Wow.
I would love to connect you directly with Josh and our team
yeah.
there.
Well, have them come down. I
So,
can
Huey,
bring them to some of
Leo,
the farms.
Steeped Coffee team, if you're watching, or if you see this later, Jose is a man that you should connect with.
Yes.
How about questions on health?
Oh gosh, I am a big believer in like a healthy and active lifestyle.
Okay.
And so I really love everything that you're talking about and what I see here so far.
Sure.
And gosh, I think it's like a really great spot for people who are kind of burned out on New York or
Yeah.
any of the other major cities where there's not a lot of outdoor activities.
Yes.
To come here.
That's
So,
right.
That's something. Do you kind of market like that aspect of it?
Yes.
Like, kind of like.
Well, it's like this every day of the year.
Yeah.
This is the coldest it gets here. I mean, I'm sweating. I got this on. I'm like
Yeah.
sweating. This is it's pretty good. It's like this all
So
year.
it doesn't matter where I'm at.
I feel like all the New Yorkers need to know, like they can work from here and start their businesses here,
Yeah.
and all this stuff, and have such a healthier, much better lifestyle.
Yes, they
Yeah.
can fly down. You don't even need a passport to come down here. You
Right.
just your driver's license.
right.
You can hop on a
Yeah.
plane, and you can relocate here. There's really no barrier to buy a second home here. Right now, it's a very good time to buy a second home here. The real estate market is sort of on the verge of
You wanna
complete
get an idea
explosion.
of what a
I would go-
a home might cost here, depending on where you're buying and what.
A couple $100,000. I mean, you could buy a very nice
yeah.
home for a couple $100,000.
And how about property taxes and how about monthly expenses like water, gas, garbage, internet?
It's
those
like a
types
few
of-
$100s a month. I
For
mean, in terms of
everything
the
all
expenses,
inclusive?
yes, like all in it would be about 500 to 600.
And that would cover
In terms of the
electricity,
maintenance,
water, garbage,
yeah.
sewer, internet. Like, is that kind of
Correct.
600-ish a month? Okay.
Correct, yeah.
And property taxes would be separate.
it's very low.
1%
Property
a
taxes,
month,
you pay that every
0.5% a
4
month?
months.
Every 4 months.
It's like every 4 months you pay the property taxes, but it's very, very reasonable. And we actually, at the chamber, there's sort of an initiative to raise the property taxes.
Okay.
And we're really fighting against that because the municipalities, they're already getting enough income from other areas, and we just want the municipalities to work more efficiently. And in terms of the allocation of resources, they tax and then they spend, and we just want the municipalities to work together to consolidate their purchasing or the contracting of services, because they're talking about raising property taxes, and we're really very, very weary of that. Because it could put a dent in the investment market. Much of the same thing that happened in China. In China, there was a very hot, booming market, but the government, to sort of let it cool off a little bit, which you almost never want to do that. You never want to artificially control a market by taxing it. And it did happen, and it did sort of burst the bubble a little bit because they did raise property taxes. But in general, to buy a home in Puerto Rico, it is relatively, very simple and efficient process. We do have the local laws, which are very rigorous with regards to purchasing property. And in terms of the actual maintenance and it's relatively very reasonable.
Yeah.
And you can also Airbnb it. Also, if you're not there year round, huge Airbnb potential, especially in Old San Juan. It's about 15 to 20% of the properties here are active Airbnb properties. Wow. So if you purchase it for a second home, you're not here year round, you can contract with people that will service your apartment. Right. And they're here in Old San Juan. They take care of managing. Right. There's like companies that are set up.
Yeah, there are.
You don't need to handle anything. Wow. And it's just income coming in every day. So you could have like a $500, $600 overhead, but you have like $2,000-$3,000 a month in Airbnb income with various different companies.
Yeah.
I
know people that do that run management property, that manage Airbnbs
yes.
for people. Yeah.
And that actually Airbnb has been just fundamental in terms of supporting the real estate industry here in Puerto Rico, especially after Maria. Because everybody's got to pay the mortgage, everybody's got to, and a lot of people had to relocate for various reasons to the U.S. So there's some vacant apartments that an industry like Airbnb can also provide some support. Right. And we have these mortgages getting paid, we have this maintenance getting paid, and it does support the real estate industry here quite a bit, and it does provide the tourist experience that is more. It's an experience more related to what the locals would be experiencing. So even though we do support the hotel industry as well, because they're also members of our chamber, but we do believe that the Airbnb type economy is also very important because it does provide support for the real estate industry, and it just brings people down that are consuming in the restaurants. They're going even to the hotels and having some activities or experiences in the hotels. Or they go out on the various excursions and zip lines. So it does provide a lot of boost to the local economy.
Yeah.
Great.
Any other questions?
Not really.
In terms of health, I mean, basically.
Why don't you ask us a question? So Pam was from Manhattan.
Okay.
She's an art director, creative of all types.
Wow.
In so many facets, photography and so much more.
Great art. Old San Juan
champion ping pong player.
Yeah. Wow. Killer.
Avid vegetarian and entrepreneur. So you could ask her questions about her perspective coming here. It's her second time here. She was here about 10 years ago. It's my first time here. I'm a Silicon Valley guy that just happens to be able to do some fun things with cool people.
Wow.
So maybe why don't you ask a couple questions and we'll wrap up.
Sure. Have you had the chance to walk around Old San Juan and visit some of the art galleries and...
Well, we've kind of walked around, but not into any of the galleries yet.
Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of different galleries. You just walk around. You can Google basically some of the locations.
Is Yelp a thing to use here?
I think mostly Google. You just Google, and we use Yelp, but the actual galleries and the places, they're not all on it. Okay. But Google is pretty good, and there's also some blogs about art in Old San Juan. Yeah. And because of the fact that we have many different cultures in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of different influences, like, for example, the African influence in terms of musical instruments, in terms of different types of art, such as sculptures, wood, carvings, serigraphy, which is the very cool little things you paint, you do the layers. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of that here. Oh, and cool. Serigraphy is actually very economical. You can purchase a serigraphy, you can roll it up, you can bring it back home, you can put it on frame, and it looks like a freaking Picasso. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh my gosh, I want to get one of those.
I exported them to China for my cafe.
Let's go do that today before we leave.
We should do that. Go?
Everywhere around here, they can sell that. Yeah, any of the galleries, they have serigraphies that you can. Yes, in some places they have a studio in the back where they're making them. Generally, you could. There's the Plastic Arts College, and they actually have some
here for my boys while I'm.
Well, the Escuela de Artes Plásticas, which is basically the Creative Arts University. It's in Old San Juan. It's near Bayaja, which is on the way to the the Morro, to the castle.
Okay.
You should stop there because with your background, you could actually do like a mentoring or in that university.
Yeah.
And they do everything, and they have a leaflet. They have like 100 different courses in every different art discipline, and this is like university level. But they open it up sort of like an extension school.
Yeah.
So if you want to learn about sculpture, if you want to learn visual arts or painting, everything. They have like 100 different courses. But at your level, you could basically come in and you could do a course if you're here for long enough.
Yeah.
Yes, and that would be incredible. It's called the Escuela de Artes Plásticas. It's on the way to Bayaha. It's like that way. Just walk that way, and if something gets in your way, you turn. Right? You remember that line?
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, just until you hit water, basically. You're going to hit that way, and it's a pretty good school. They're pretty open, and they need talent. They need people to come in and just bring in some new ideas, and that would be pretty cool.
Is there a need for kind of like local marketing and graphic design
A lot.
companies?
There's
Like,
a lot.
If I had like a
Let's
team
say-
of like 10 people, right?
Okay.
Who are designers.
Yeah.
They can do like marketing and graphics.
You could set up your own shop.
Yeah.
You could set up your own shop, and actually, given
Pamela
Act
gets
20,
here and
you could set up an Act 20 company,
Yeah.
and you could export that service to your company, to your client, to your existing clients back in New York, and you pay 4% tax. I mean, when I was living in New York, I was paying 53% tax. It was ridiculous.
Right.
And
Moneymaker over here.
yeah, so you could sit up down here, and you could apply for Act 20 under marketing and creative arts.
So
you
who
can
would
export
help
that.
Pamela set up a new company here, and then she would have to live here 184
No,
days or
Act
more.
20. No, that's for Act 20. Is the companies here? She could be anywhere in the world because Act 20 is just the company needs to be
Company,
domiciled
yeah.
in Puerto Rico,
Right.
and they used to have a requirement that you had to hire 3 people, but now that requirement is gone. So you basically invoice out of Puerto Rico. Yeah, you could be doing some of the creative work. You're gonna want to be working out of here because it does inspire you. It gives you a lot of different influences in terms of
Yeah.
your creativity. It helps you bring in some different colors, different textures to what you're doing. And it allows you to, serve your existing clients. We have the infrastructure here for you to have, digitally connected with your existing clients. And yeah, every once in a while we get a little, breeze of wind come in and something happens, but we're, you can be back. You can be back.
A cute little breeze of wind.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was a few hours.
This is my vision. I'm going to have a cafe.
Yeah.
Like a digital marketing cafe.
Okay.
With tea and coffee. Right?
Do that.
And then we're going to have a ping pong table too.
Yeah, you
What
do
you
that.
That'll be popular, right?
Yes,
On the
I'll
tea
go.
side, you can go for the flower tea. We have a lot of local
Yeah, I
flower
want to know
teas.
about teas too. I'm very
Yes,
interested in tea.
we have a lot of different teas like lemongrass and ginger tea,
Okay.
and various different like lavender, because everything grows here in Puerto Rico. Basically, everything
wanna
that's
go
sort
see
of
this.
tropical, you can grow. And I've actually sold organic tea from Puerto Rico in China. I've sold tea in China. Can you believe that? It's crazy, but
Yeah.
it's doable. And because it's made in Puerto Rico, it's automatically made in USA.
Yeah.
So it has this mystique. It has this of access to the markets in China.
Wow.
And there's a lot of different varieties of tea. There's a friend of mine, it's called Alondra. She has this brand called Alu Tea. I will give you her contact later. She has years of training. She's traveled. She was recently in Taiwan learning about oolong tea, from Taiwan and in Fujian in China. This is a very specific type of tea, but we also work locally with the local tisane, which is the herbal type tea, which is grown from flowers or herbs.
Yeah.
And these have certain medicinal properties as well.
They do.
Wow.
Yeah, they definitely do. I'm
Yes.
working on a tea product of my own. So
Wow.
I should launch.
Yes.
I should be starting here.
You should
Yes,
do
you
that.
should.
And then if you have a farm, if it has USDA organic, it has all of these things, you could export it and you could have this, but focus on the high end. Don't go with the
Right.
shotgun approach.
Right,
You need to
right.
be
No.
laser sharp and
very specific.
yes.
Yeah.
that would be great. Yeah. And if you mix the health aspect and the creative aspect and ping pong, that we also play ping pong here, so that would be good.
So, this is amazing. I'm so glad you came. Thank you for
Sure.
meeting people. I want to do 2 things while I have you. So, one is, can you just look at that camera, the big one right there, assuming it's still rolling, and can you introduce all these videos? Because I think it'd be nice to have you kind of introduce the videos. So, obviously, we've had Jennifer, we've had Brock, we've had yourself, we've had
Braulio.
Braulio. I
Braulio.
can't roll. I can only growl. We'll have other folks from Life Afar.
Yes.
You have a lot to do with the folks that have been here already.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if you just want to look at the camera, and then you can just kind of say, hey, here's what you're about to watch, and I might be able to make a long form video that has many together.
Sure. That's
and then maybe you could zoom in.
That's in English or in Spanish?
We'll do English
in
first,
English.
and Spanish second.
Okay.
We'll let you know when we're ready for you.
Okay, you can face the Juan. This camera.
Then let me do this.
Oh. Yeah.
That's for Facebook. So it doesn't
Genius.
really matter, but there we go.
Okay, let's see if this cable is...
We'll do one more thing. 1 second. Okay.
Oh.
1 second. Wait, I'm going to record the audio in this as a backup in case we need it. Okay. And I'm just going to slide that right there.
Wow.
Go for it.
Great. Welcome to the blog. And today I have brought certain people here. I brought Jennifer Hopp. She's with ATO Ventures. She's been here already for a couple of years, and she's doing a great job of integrating some of the technology investment here in Puerto Rico and supporting the local companies more on the healthcare and health fitness area. And also, I believe it's media. She's also working on that. I did meet her recently, but I did have a pretty good connection with her at the Life Afar event. And I also have had a relationship with Braulio Nieves from Pirater Wealth Management. He's also working with the Phoenix Fund, which is a pretty big local fund here. And he's also a member of the chamber. And he has a lot of different areas that they're working on here in Puerto Rico for wealth management. And also there's Brock Pierce, who's already pretty local guy. He's been here for a while. He's spearheading the basically crypto blockchain movement here in Puerto Rico, and he's been drawing a lot of talent to come here to Puerto Rico with him. And that's he's sort of the local hero here in terms of this community that's developing. And there's also the people from Life Afar that I'm very grateful to organize their third event here in Puerto Rico. I did have the chance to visit the building that they have acquired, and I do believe that it is in a very strategic location, and it will have a very immense positive impact on the communities in Old San Juan. And there may be another person coming, Erin Schoenfeld. She's an investment banker. She may be coming in. She had a conference call that she's on the way to come here. And so definitely, we do hope that you enjoy the blog. And there's myself as well. I'm in the blog that you just heard. So yeah, I do welcome you to come back here to Puerto Rico and to experience various different things that we have to offer.
And you can keep it on there. Thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Facebook, Twitter, you can stick around if you'd like. We're going to get some Espanol rolling right now. So why don't you do the same thing in Spanish?
Wow.
Because that'd be a nice intro, and then we just have Spanish subtitles.
Sure.
Speaking.
Spanish subtitles, is that like a Kung Fu kind of thing where I'm talking and then they put the...
No, that's dubbed. That's
okay.
overdubbed.
The dubbing.
Yeah.
Because
no dubbing,
I've seen a lot of Kung Fu movies and it gets pretty crazy because the guy's like, wanna fight.
That's a pretty good impression.
Yeah, I see a lot of these movies. I love them, you know?
Okay, so
yeah.
look in that camera again, and same thing. You're just basically introducing the folks that we had, and you're doing it in Spanish. That way, if I do post-produce something, I have an option of kind of having you do an intro.
Great. Bueno, bienvenidos al blog. Hoy tenemos varias personas que he traído aquí para que compartan con Ian. Esto es básicamente relacionado al evento de Life Afar aquí en Puerto Rico, pero tenemos varias personas que he traído para que compartan con nosotros, incluyendo a Jennifer Hopp de ATO Ventures. Ella está aquí trabajando mayormente en el sector de tecnología. Ella viene de San Francisco, lleva aquí ya un par de añitos y tiene un fondo de inversión. También va a estar con nosotros Braulio Nieves, que es de Pirater Wealth Management, pero ellos tienen el Phoenix Fund. Y esto es un fondo bastante diversificado que cae dentro de los incentivos de la ley 185, que es una ley de capital privado aquí en Puerto Rico. También está Brock Pierce, que es una autoridad en el área de criptomonedas y de blockchain mundial. Y él lleva viviendo en Puerto Rico ya un par de añitos, y él está liderando una comunidad aquí en Puerto Rico de blockchain. Y te digo, a nivel de blockchain, en verdad necesitamos gente como él que sigan trayendo recursos aquí a Puerto Rico. También está la gente de Life Afar, que son los que organizaron su tercera conferencia. Estoy muy agradecido de que hayan podido venir aquí en Puerto Rico, invertir. Muy contento por la inversión que han hecho en Puerto Rico, y estoy bastante confiado de que ese edificio, una vez esté completado, va a tener un impacto significativo en la economía y cultura del viejo San Juan y del resto de Puerto Rico, porque necesitamos inversionistas de esa categoría que vengan aquí y reinviertan y reconstruyan a Puerto Rico. Y necesitamos también de la diáspora, de los puertorriqueños que viven fuera de Puerto Rico, que por X o Y razón, así como yo, que tuvimos que salir de Puerto Rico por algunos añitos, pero que vuelvan a Puerto Rico o que se integren con las iniciativas que tenemos aquí en Puerto Rico, porque definitivamente estamos listos para recibirlos nuevamente y para que se integren a todo lo que estamos haciendo. También tengo a Erin Schoenfeld, que posiblemente esté aquí con nosotros luego. Ella también es una banquera de inversiones que trabaja el área de Mergers and Acquisitions. Pero muy contento por la invitación de Ian para participar en este evento, y los invito a que compartan aquí con nosotros en Puerto Rico en el futuro. Y nuevamente, yo soy el presidente electo de la Cámara de Comercio. Yo estaré presidiendo la Cámara de Comercio desde julio hasta junio del 2020. Y tendremos una serie de eventos relacionados a las numerosas industrias que están representadas aquí en Puerto Rico. Buenas tardes.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Final thing. If
Great.
I can ask you to do one more thing.
Yes.
And still at the camera. One of the concerns I've been very aware of is that there's 3.5 million people here.
Sure.
Or Landrew, or Ben, or Brock Pierce, or Jennifer Hopscott. Like, the five of us are not what's really important to this land. We're helpful.
It is a start. It is a start.
It
is
a very helpful.
It's got to start somewhere.
That can potentially have a long-term impact.
Sure.
But the greatest thing is for some of the most talented people that you grew up with, that you went to elementary school, that you went to high school with, that you stayed in touch, that speak Spanish, right?
Yeah.
That they are Puerto Ricans. So I would like to just have you take a moment to just speak to the camera specific to that group, because that's just a piece of content that I could potentially leverage to like give you, President-elect of the Chamber of Commerce here, a chance to speak directly to your people and say, hey, you may not realize all that's going on. You may not realize what these things are happening and people are doing. Like, have you considered to come back to your family? Have you considered to come back to our land?
Sure.
So I just thought it'd be nice to give you a chance to do that as well.
Yeah.
So, right there.
Great. Is that in Spanish?
Yeah, Spanish. Only Spanish.
Bueno, pues la diáspora de los puertorriqueños en Estados Unidos y por todo el mundo es un grupo muy importante para nosotros. Y no importa que ustedes estén en Florida, California, Alaska, China, siempre hay la manera que puedan integrarse y contribuir y reconstruir a las comunidades locales. No tienen que mudarse para atrás de nuevo aquí, pero simplemente pues reconectar con nosotros acá en Puerto Rico, con sus familias, con sus amistades, con sus clientes, con sus suplidores que estén aquí en Puerto Rico. Es una manera de poder reconstruir la economía y la sociedad aquí en Puerto Rico. Yo creo que ahora mismo, justo después de María, pero antes que empiecen a fluir los fondos de reconstrucción, es un punto crítico en donde ustedes pueden volver aquí a Puerto Rico y reintegrarse. Y son unas oportunidades increíbles que se están presentando, porque ahora mismo, pues como están las personas que están empezando a llegar, pues se crean unas oportunidades increíbles. De las primeras personas que vengan aquí, pues son los que van a tener la participación más crucial en este proceso de reconstrucción. En la Cámara de Comercio tenemos un comité de la diáspora, en donde vamos a estar participando, organizando algunas actividades en la Florida, en Nueva York, en Texas, California, y en algunas de las comunidades boricuas que están en Estados Unidos. También estamos bien integrados con otras comunidades latinas que están en Estados Unidos, con las cuales tenemos mucha afinidad cultural, que también han estado viniendo a Puerto Rico y nos han estado visitando, que se bajan del avión, ya hablan español, ya saben bailar salsa mejor que yo, merengue mejor que yo, o sea, vienen aquí, se quedan con el canto, como decimos. Y también están bienvenidos a venir aquí en Puerto Rico. Por ejemplo, los venezolanos tienen una comunidad aquí en Puerto Rico por el hecho del éxodo masivo que ha habido en Venezuela por los últimos 20 años. Pues hay un grupo muy selecto y exitoso de venezolanos que se han establecido en Puerto Rico. Y de ahí, pues, básicamente es lo que queremos fortalecer y fomentar esa conexión entre los puertorriqueños que están en la diáspora, que están por allá produciendo, y queremos pues que produzcan junto con nosotros para reconstruir este país. Muchas gracias.
I did not understand most of that. But
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
I understand
Yes.
your heart. Why don't you zoom out and bring it on both of us? We're going to say
Yep.
goodbye with the Google Frisbee. This is the pocket disc,
Wow.
the Google. When the Google comes at you, you know the interview is over, and here it comes.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Great. Yeah, man.
That
It's
was fun.
good. We could collaborate.